All right, so there's a saying, man can wear a hat in a building. Where'd that come from? Like, I've been places where, sir, you gotta remove your hat, but she get to keep her hat on, or she get to keep her hat on, but I gotta take my hat off. Where does it came from? So this is something I want to talk on. Silly traditions. So where's the origin? Okay. So you try thinking off the top of your head, but I don't know, man. Most people probably say some people be like, well, maybe it's a tradition, right? It's a tradition of just being a gentleman. Okay, well, if you got to take your hat off for going in the building, shouldn't everybody should have to take their hat off? Why only the man? I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's people not understanding the Bible. So I'm gonna just a little short little word. We're gonna break down the Bible. You're welcome to follow along. I ain't posting the scriptures up there, but I'm gonna just read from First Corinthians chapter 11, verses 1 to 16. Yeah, that should do it. Because this is where the misunderstanding came from. I'm reading from the KJV. Rainbow edition. But I'm just gonna keep it simple. Just gonna read it and we're gonna talk about it. Because a man can't wear his hat, but a woman can. Where did that come from? You gotta ask yourself that. All right. So let's go. So First Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. It says, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Messiah. It say Christ, but I'm gonna put it in its proper context. Got lessons coming up. We're gonna break down the whole different titles that we see throughout the Bible, but I'm gonna put everything. I'm gonna speak it how it should be spoken. All right, but you can look that up. Messiah is uh, an official word in the Bible. It is the Savior, pretty much. All right. So it says, be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Messiah. All right. Verse 2. Now, and this is Paul speaking. Now, I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. So we're talking about ordinances. Ordinances, order. We're talking about order. Keep the order, right? All right. Let's keep going. But I would have you to know that the head of every man is Messiah. Stop right there. The head of every man is Messiah. Messiah is the head of every man. What is he saying? Now, Messiah is the ultimate servant of Yah. Messiah is the Messiah. The Messiah is the Messiah. The Messiah is the Savior. The Messiah is, he's the ultimate teacher. He's the one we follow. So if we're following him, and it's told here in verse 3, it says that the head of every man is Messiah. The head of every man is Messiah, meaning Messiah has authority over every man. You follow me? All right, come on, let's keep going. Let's keep going. It's going to come to full circle. Let's keep going. And the head of the woman is man. Oh, there we go. The head of every woman is man. The head of every woman is man. I'll go somewhere real fast. I'm going to go somewhere real fast. Let's go to Genesis. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something. We're going to bring this full circle. Where you at? Where you at? Okay. Genesis. Genesis chapter 3. I'm going to read Genesis chapter 3, right? I want to read verses 16. Genesis 3:16. This is after what happened in the garden. This is Yah handing down the punishment to Adam, Eve, and the serpent. Okay? Excuse me. So Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Check this out. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and thy conception. So let's stop right there. I will greatly multiply your sorrow in conception. Conception is when you're having a child. When women have children, do they not feel pain? They do, right? Okay. So he says, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, right? And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. So, right? Okay. All right. And thy desire, woman, your desire, woman, right? Thy desire shall be to thy husband. Okay. Don't we not see that? I'm not trying to paint a picture here, but when a man loses virginity, is it painful? But when a woman loses her virginity, isn't it painful? You see what I'm saying? So think about that. Just really think about that. But let's keep going. It says, and he shall rule over thee. That's what the Bible says. Genesis chapter 3:16. Woman, the man will rule over you. So let's go back to what we just read. Let's go back. It says, verse 3. But I have you to know that the head of every man is Messiah. Okay. And the head of the woman is man, because he's ruling over. So the Messiah is ruling over man, and the man is ruling over woman, right? Messiah rules over the husband rules over his wife, right? Okay. This is, if you think about it, this is why like when you get married, right? The father of the bride walks down the aisle and passes the bride off to her future husband. There is a transition of authority. She is under the authority of her father, right? But when she gets married, now she's under the authority of her husband. So the father handing off the bride is showing the transfer of authority, right? So the reason why we're saying all of this, let's keep reading. Okay. So it says, but if I have you know that, I'm back at verse 3, but I would have you to know that the head of every man is Messiah. Okay. And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of the Messiah is Yah. All right. So right back to verse 2. When it says that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances, right? Keep the order. So you got the order right there. You have Yah, Messiah, husband, wife. All right? Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Verse 4. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where people lose their way. And this is why we're having this conversation. Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonored his head. Okay, so every man praying and prophesying with his head covered dishonors his head. Who's his head? His head is Messiah, right? Which we just read. His head is Messiah. So his head being covered while he's praying or prophesying, he's dishonoring Messiah. So this is why people say men can't wear hats in the building. I've been to people's house and they be like, take your hat off, please. But a woman can come in, they be like, nothing. Right? Okay, let's keep reading. Verse 5. Check this out. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered, right? dishonoreth her head. Stop right there. Who is her head? All right, so we've seen that the head of man is Messiah. The head of Messiah is Yah. So the head of woman is man, right? Is her husband. So a woman who's praying and prophesying with her head uncovered, right? Dishonoreth what? Her head? Her husband. What's being said here? And this is why women are allowed to have hats on. Matter of fact, according to this, the misunderstanding of this, it's encouraged for women to have hats on. This is I grew up in an old school church, my grandmom's church. The women had to have hats on their head, and if they didn't have a hat, they would take a bobby pin and a napkin. She had to have a covering. Like I said, a misunderstanding of the scriptures. Men could not walk up into the church with a hat on. Hats had to come off, but the women had to have a hat on because they don't understand what this is saying. We're talking about authority, not a physical hat. We're talking about authority. Let's keep on. Matter of fact, parched. All right, let's keep going though. All right, so it says, but every woman praying, right, or prophesying with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head, for that it is even all one as if she were shaven. Now, a woman who is praying or prophesying with her head uncovered is as if she were shaven. Now, when it says shaven, it's talking about a bald head. A woman with a bald head. So, let's go over to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 21. Because a woman shaven. I'm going to show you something. Hold on. Keep that bookmark. All right. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy, which is the Torah. We're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 21. We're going to start at verse 10. I'm going to show you something. So verse 10. This is when an army conquers a land and how they are to treat the women, or the women slaves, or whatever, or soon to be slaves, or whatever. Like when when somebody invades a country, and you probably killed off all the warriors, but you don't want to kill women and children, right? If it's one of the type of situations, this is how you handle that situation. This is according to the Bible. This is Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10. Check it out. It says, when thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, okay, and Yah, thy power, have delivered them into thine hands, which means he gave you the victory, and thou hast taken them captive, all right, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman. So if you have taken the people captive and you look, you're the warrior, you look and you see a beautiful woman, right, and has desire unto her, right? So you desire her, right? Thou wouldst have her as thy wife, so you want to marry her, right? Now, Yah is merciful, family. Yah is merciful because you probably just killed her husband. You know what I'm saying? You probably just killed her father. You probably just slaughtered her family. Yah is merciful. Check this out. So it says, then thou shalt bring her home. Okay, so he's giving you permission to take her home, right? To thine house. And she shall shave her head. You see that? She shall shave her head. Keep going. And pare her nails. All right. And she shall put the remnant of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month, and after that thou shalt go into her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. Her shaved head reflects mourning. It's time for her to, all right, think about it. Her people just got conquered, right? Her people just got conquered. So you like her, you desire, you not gonna make her my wife. You know what I'm saying? And she not feeling that energy right now, but she's afraid of you. You killed her folks, so you'll kill her. But Yah's so merciful. He's like, nah, don't take her as your wife yet. Shave her head. Give her a month of mourning. Her shaved head is a reflection of her mourning. You notice when there's scripture that says a man can't cut his beard for the dead. We're not supposed to do that. Yeah, we're not supposed to do that. But Yah allowed the women who got conquered from a particular country to shave their head or have their head shaved to symbolize their mourning. So even if because the woman's hair is their beauty. A lot of women, especially our women, our sisters, can't touch their hair, right? Don't mess with their hair. So without their hair, they don't feel like they're beautiful, even though they are, but they don't feel like it. So it's a reflection that she's mourning. She's not trying to be all beautified and pretty. She wants to mourn her loss. So her shaved head reflects mourning. All right? I shared that for just to go right back here. Let's go right back there now. All right. So when we read this, I'm going to make you're going to learn today. Make you understand this. So check this out. So it says, verse 5 again, but every woman that prays and prophesies with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. Her head is her husband, right? For that is even all one as if she were shaven. So if the shaved head of a woman reflects loss of life, her praying and prophesying with her head uncovered is a reflection as if her husband is dead. But her husband is her head. So how's her husband dead? But her husband is her head. So her head should be covered by her husband. So if she has assumed the authority of her husband, and her husband has took the back seat and is not in an authoritative role in her life, she is praying and prophesying with her head uncovered. So this makes sense. Because if she's praying and prophesying with her head uncovered, it says she dishonors her head, right? And that it is the same as if she were shaven. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. It's the word, family. It's the word. We're gonna keep reading, but think about that. So I'm gonna tell you what it is, and then we're gonna keep reading. If I didn't say it already. So the head of every man is Messiah. Messiah covers the head of a man. Messiah's in heaven, family. Messiah's in heaven. It's not physically here. I mean, spiritually he's here. If you're living right and you're walking with him. The head of every woman is the husband. He, in fact, is physically here. And if she has not got married yet, her head is her father. And if Yah may rest his soul and let him rest in peace, if her father passed away, her head will be somebody in her family of a male in her family. Somebody she looks up to. Like if something happens, this is the person she can call or whatever. You think about it like this, right? Because you got this whole women rights thing. I'm not trying to, listen, we're not going to make this a debate. I understand women want to be equal and stuff. I get it. But if, let's say I'm laying down, she's laying down, and there is a could-be burglar could be rapist, could be murderer, or whatever, breaking into the house. And she's equal to me, so I could roll over and say, babe, it's your turn. Go down there and see what's going on. I'll stay up here with the kids. How much of a man would I be? And yeah, seriously, how much of a man would I be? Women are smarter. They catch on faster than us. But we're the stronger vessel. You see what I'm saying? We go together. Two come together and becomes one. It's not diluting or taking away from the woman. She has her role. The man has his role. This is the order that Paul is talking about. It has nothing to do with a hat, family. Nothing to do with a hat. So basically what he's saying is, if a man prophesies, so I'm gonna read it in just in these words now, and then we're gonna finish it out. So it says, verse 3. No. Okay, I'll start at 3. It says, but I will have you to know that the head of every man is Messiah, like I said, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Messiah is Yah. Okay, so we got the order. Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. A man praying and prophesying, having his head covered, meaning he is under the covering of his wife. He dishonoreth who? Messiah. He dishonoreth the order of Yah. He dishonors the order of Yah. He is somebody who is in trouble and he need to correct his ways. You think about Adam and Eve when they were in the garden, right? And Yah told them, well, Yah told Adam, correction. Yah told Adam, he said, every tree you can eat from, but that tree you don't touch. You can't find nowhere in the Bible where Yah told Eve that. Yet and still, when the serpent approached Eve, she knew just that. Because Yah gave it to Adam, Adam gave it to his wife. Order. 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 So, a man praying and prophesying with his head covered, he dishonored his head. Meaning, if he's praying and prophesying under the authority of a woman, he's bringing dishonor to his head. Verse 5. But every woman praying and prophesying with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. For it was even as all one as if she were shaven. Right? Right? So a woman praying and prophesying without being under the authority of her husband, she has dishonored her husband. Okay, let's keep going. For if woman, verse 6, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. That's talking about shaven, right? Bald-headed, right? But if it be a shame for the woman to be shorn or shaven, if the woman loves her hair so much and it's a shameful thing for her to be bald-headed, right? Right? Or shaven, let her be covered. That's basically saying, like, it's shameful as you see yourself in the world walking around with a boy, like, especially if you got beautiful hair, beautiful locks, or whatever. You got your hair done up, all that. And if you was to wake up in the middle of the night and your head was bald, you would feel shame outside in the world. That shame you feel outside in the world is how the kingdom of heaven is looking down at you. It's how Yah's looking at you. If you are taking the authority of a man and your man is humbling himself up under you, that's not how Yah made it. He made Adam, and they said, you know what, man can't be alone. Then he made Hawa or Eve. You get what I'm saying? So what he's saying here is, if the woman don't want to be bald-headed, let her be covered. Meaning, if you don't want to be in a shameful state, stay under the authority of your husband or your father. If you're not married, there's somebody, but don't see yourself over top of a man. I'm not talking about women who's raising. I'm not talking about single women who raising their sons. Of course, you're over your sons. I'm talking about like when it's time for the authority of a man. Yah's bringing a man into your life. Yah has given you a man, and you still see yourself over top of that man. Yah has a problem with that, and this is all a warning to help you out with that too, because you don't want to die in that sin, family. But let's keep going. And as we can see, yes, I used the word sin. Sin is the transgression of the law. 1 John 3:4. Make me go there. Make me go there. This way. 1 John 3:4, right? I said that, right? It's sin. I was right. Oh yeah, I'm not even using it. 1 John 3:4. Check it out. 1 John 3:4. This is what it says. Whosoever commits sin transgress also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So it's a sin. What is the law? The law is the first. We can find the law in the first 5 books, right? So in the first 5 books, Genesis, right? Exodus, right? Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, then Deuteronomy, right? Those are your first 5 books. That's where you can find Yah's law. And in Yah's law, right, which we just read, right? Genesis chapter 3:16. And he shall rule over you. Your husband shall rule. That is law. That's law. That is law, man. I mean, I'm not making this up. Come on now. Anyway, without further ado, let's keep reading. Let's finish this out, though. All right, so he says that, verse 7. For a man indeed ought not to be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head. Right? A man need not to cover his head. It's not talking about a hat family. A man need to not be under the authority of his wife. That's what this is saying. For a man indeed ought not to be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of the Almighty. But the woman is the glory of the man. You see this? You see this? You can see why this has nothing to do with a hat. It has nothing. Let's keep going. Get too excited. All right. So the man is in the image and the glory of Yah, and the woman is in the glory of man. So that's why it's called woman. It's like, if you think about it, it's man with a womb. She's called woman. We're man. She's woman, right? So, like I said, I'm not taking nothing from a woman. We're talking about Yah's order. We're just talking about Yah's order. And the goal is to get into this conversation about the hat. Why I got to take my hat off? And why she can keep hers on, right? Because they don't understand this right here. But let's keep going. So he says, now check this out. This will get deep. And this is going to prove even more that it has nothing to do with a hat. All right? So it says, for the man is not of the woman, right? But the woman of the man. What's this talking about? Because, all right, I know women are having men today, but the first man was created and the woman came from him. Y'all see that order? It was man first. Then there was woman. Right? Okay. Now check this out. Verse 10. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. The woman needs power on her head because of the angels. So the woman keeping the hat on, that's power on her head that could protect her from the angels. What angels are we talking about? Let's go to Genesis chapter 6. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. Check this out. Now, if you're not familiar with this, in Genesis chapter 6, this is when the watchers, which you would call like guardian angels, this is when they came down to they pretty much left their first estate and the good standings with the Almighty and followed the lust after their heart and went and wanted to marry and have children by human women, so to speak. All right. Now check this out. Genesis chapter 6. And it says, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them." So men were starting to increase and they're having children and they're having daughters, right? Verse 2. "And the sons of Yah." Now we heard sons of Yah. This is a different class of well, not this is a different entity. We are children of the Most High. The sons are the angels. You think about it like this. If you have a 5-year-old, that's your child. And that 5-year-old grows to be 25-year-old. You still don't call him your child. You call him your son now. You get what I'm saying? So he's matured. It shows maturity. So here it says that the sons of Yah, right, saw the daughters of men, and they were fair, and they took them wives of all whom they chose. So men and women, so angels and women were mixing, and this created the giants, the Nephilim. I'll keep reading. This is why the flood had to come, but I'll keep reading just for the context. So it says, "And Yah said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Yah came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown." And those are the giants, family. And this is why Yah had to send a flood. They were mixing with giants. Now let me show you something. We're going to go back where we left in 1 Corinthians. Let's go to the book of Matthew. Let me show you something. Why it said that. Because it said a woman should have power on her head because of the angels. Right? Where do I want to go back? I think it's Matthew 24. Yeah. Yeah, I do want to be in Matthew 24. Let's skip in. Okay. So we're going to go Matthew 24, verse 36. And I'm going to just read till I make my point. But check this out. Matthew 24, verse 36. And it says, "But of that day," he's talking about the day when he's about to come back, Messiah. When Messiah is about to come back, he's talking about pretty much the end, what we would call the end of the world, right? Okay, the end of this age, right? "But of that day and hour knoweth no man. No, not the angels of heaven. Not even the angels only. Not even the angels know." So man don't know, the angels don't know, but the Father only. So only Yah knows when it's going to happen. But he gives them a hint. He says something in verse 37 that's key. He said, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." What took place in the days of Noah? I just showed you, right? I just showed you. But check this out. Verse 38. "For as in the days they were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark." Now, what's wrong with eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage? Nothing. It's not a sin. It's a sin if you're doing it with angels, family. It's a sin. So he's saying when he returns, it's going to be similar to the times of Noah when the flood came, which makes sense that the angels will come back and start mixing with women. But let's go right back over to 1 Corinthians chapter 11 then. Let's go right back here. We got to. So when we read here, it says, verse 10, he says, for this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. So it's a fitted hat, or whatever hat you could think of, hat with a feather in it, whatever. Is that going to protect the women from the angels taking them as wives again? Really think about it, family. How much sense does that make? Like, really think about that. Is there protection behind the hat? The hat's not even bulletproof. They probably got bulletproof hats nowadays. But I'm saying the hat's not even bulletproof. Like, what? People not understanding this word. So let's finish this up, so y'all can go about your day. I just want to give you a little short little word. So let's finish this up. Verse 11. Nevertheless, neither is man without the woman, neither the woman without man in the master. So you see that right there. The man needs the woman needs the man, right? Like I said, verse 12. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things in Yah. So right there, he says, so even as the woman is of the man, because Adam was the first man, and with his rib created Hawa, Yah did that, right? But nowadays, women are creating the man. So he's showing you both sides, right? So we need each other. We need each other. All right. Verse 13. Judge in yourself. It is also comely that a woman pray unto Yah uncovered. Hold on. Judge in yourself. Is it comely that a woman pray unto Yah uncovered? And notice there's a question mark. So can a woman, he said, judge for yourself. Is it okay for a woman to pray to Yah without being under the authority of her husband? Verse 14. Doeth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him. Now, this is not talking about locks and stuff like that. This is talking about when a man has hair like a woman. It's crazy because we got a whole era in time where, especially with the pimps, they put the permanent hair and let their hair lay down like a woman and stuff like that. That's what he's talking about. It's not talking about locks, because remember, Samson had 7 free-forming locks. Many of the prophets had long hair as a lock. So he's not talking about that. He's talking about the style of hair. How women wear their hair. Should a man wear his hair like how a woman wear hair? You know what I'm talking about. Like, remember the finger wave ages? They used to do the finger waves, and the men started doing it too. Like, different singers and stuff like that in the blues and soul music. That's not manly, is what it's saying right here. You know what I mean? Not knock on them. This is what the word's saying. You see what I'm saying? So he's saying, do not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him. Verse 15. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her. For her hair is given her for a covering. So her hair, her natural hair that she's got growing, reflects that she is happy. Because we've seen when she is taken captive, her hair is shaved. Well, if she's with a husband, there's no need to shave her head. She is happy. That's why Paul is very clever. He connected the two to show you something. Her not being under the authority of her husband, she might as well go get a bald head, because she should feel shame. But her being covered, being under the authority of her husband, grow your hair out, baby girl. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's, like I said, take from it what you will. This is what the word is saying. I know somebody's pastor is going to sit there and read this and twist it up and make it sound like something else. But this is what the actual word is saying. You see, I'm reading this all in this context. All right. Verse 16. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the assembly of Yah. All right. So I just wanted to read that, family. And it has nothing to do with the hat, man. Like, wake up, family. It's a vain tradition It really is. It's a vain tradition where we say that a man should take his hat off. Now, will I take my hat off when I go in somebody's house because they request me? Yeah, I'm being respectful. But I always try to pull their coat on it. Like, do you know where that came from? I mean, I'm always willing to go into the Bible. It has nothing to do with an actual hat. It has nothing to do with an actual hat. You know what I'm saying? Like a woman can have a bad hair day, right? And she can keep her hat on all day, going any place. But let a man not get a haircut. You know what I'm saying? He probably, we don't care. I know I don't care. If I got a haircut, I got a haircut. But I'm just saying, like, he can't keep his hat on all day because people don't understand that. So, hopefully this was a blessing for y'all, family. I just wanted to give you a short little word, but that is a vain tradition. It's a silly tradition, and it does not make sense, and it's not biblical. Hey, shalom. Y'all bless.